Anyways, Aska first met Christy when she was in Canada on her first working holiday. She's one of Aska's oldest friends here in Canada. She can speak Japanese, and this had a big impact on their friendship. It made their relationship stronger because in the beginning, Aska's English was not as good as it is now. Aska loves Christy's crazy hairstyles and colors, as she is never brave enough to try it herself. Christy is also very interested in Japanese culture and animation. Sometimes Aska is even learning new things about Japan from Christy. On the far end of the table, you have Howard Lee. Jer met Howard in grade 9. Howard came into the school with a little bit of a language barrier, so it took some time before they really clicked. Howard made Jer a bet that if Jer could sink a basketball from inside the bleachers on the other side of half court, he would give Jer $100. It was an almost impossible shot, and Jer still is, terrible at basketball. But he threw an underhand shot and drained it. Howard never expected him to make the shot, so Howard changed the bet to Jer could make as many burned CDs at his house free of charge. He thought this would save him some money, but he did not estimate how much Jer enjoyed his music. They spent countless hours together at Howard's place burning CDs. This really kicked off their friendship, and they grew pretty close. Howard is one of the most generous, kind-hearted people that Jer knows. He's always wanting to do nice things for people or help out wherever he can. In recent years, he's really been there for Jer when he needs someone to talk to or for some advice.
Way to go, Howard.
Next up on this side of the table, we have Christina Van Dop. Christina has become a good friend of Aska here in Canada. She is also Richard's wife. That's the guy on the far end there. They got married exactly on Aska's birthday 2 years ago. Jer and Aska had just gotten serious in their relationship, and Jer had to miss Aska's birthday to attend the wedding. Don't worry, Jer made up for it later. Christina is so fun and sweet. She had a large part in planning Aska's bachelor party. They really surprised Aska with what they did, decorating her apartment, food, games, and dinner. She really loved everything and had a great time. Christina also helped take care of her that night, and Aska was very appreciative of it. On the other side, we have the other pair of the Van Dops, Richard Van Dop, also known as Dickie. Jer's first impression of Richard was interesting. When their elementary schools joined together, Richard was split off in a special class with only 4 guys. John Conlin, who helped out with the sound here, was also one of the 4. These guys were like kings of the school, in that grade at least. They were all good at sports, everybody knew who they were and wanted to be like them. They were pretty cliquey and didn't have too much interest in hanging out with the other peasants. The other kids looked at them like they were untouchable, just too cool. It wasn't until later years, when they ended up in some of the same classes, that Jared learned that this couldn't be further from the truth. Richard is very humble, considering that he is actually good at everything. He is also probably the nicest guy you'll ever meet. They started hanging out outside of school and became very tight. They bonded over their mutual love for music, having many discussions/arguments, and they also had countless deep conversations about life and girls. Richard is always there when you need him. Back on this side, we have Steph Neufeld. Steph is another one of Jeremy's friends that's grown close to Aska here in Canada. She is also Matt's wife, and so Jared's cousin-in-law. So now she is also Aska's cousin-in-law. They hang out a lot as a group and have gone on several trips together. When they first met, Aska's English was not very good, but Steph was so patient with Aska, still carrying on the conversation. That was so nice. Steph also had a very big part in planning Aska's bachelorette party, and it was an awesome time. Both of their guys are crazy about hockey, and they play quite a few games. So Steph and Aska take advantage of it to have some girl time. They also go for sushi together, which is really good because Aska cannot do that with Jared. Back on on the other side of the table, you have Matt Neufeld. Matt and Jer were always close growing up. Their cousins and their mums are really good friends, so naturally they saw each other quite a lot. Matt is 5 years younger than Jer, but it never seemed to matter. They would hang out and play Legos, video games, street hockey, stuff like that. Sometimes Jer would even bring his friends out to play street hockey with Matt, and he'll never forget how they couldn't believe that this little guy would take street hockey so seriously. If you know Matt, he's a little competitive. Just a little. But they really bonded when they went as a group to Thailand together. They were often roommates, and they were always the last two guys to go to bed. They would sit out on the beach late at night and chat. Those were really good times. Matt is an awesome, very loyal friend. Jer is lucky to be able to call you his cousin and friend. And the matron of honor is Cheryl Neufeld. Cheryl is Jeremy's sister-in-law, Mike's wife. Her and Aska have a very similar personalities. They both love shopping, talking, and eating delicious food. And they share some experiences because they both grew up in Asian households. Cheryl was so welcoming to Aska when Aska first met the family. She makes her feel comfortable and happy every single time they are together. And she looks out for Aska like a big sister. They love having Japanese nights with homemade Japanese food and Japanese drinks. Cheryl is also a great mom, and Aska wants to learn how to be an amazing and strong mom from her in the future. And last but not least is the best man, Alan Cleaver. The story of Alan and Jer goes way back. They're born on the same day, exactly 1 year apart. Pretty much since then, they've been best friends. They grew up through every stage of life together. You almost couldn't separate them at times. They would turn one-night sleepovers into two-night sleepovers because they weren't done hanging out. They always seemed to have the same interests and followed each other into whatever they were doing, except when Alan had his big Pokemon phase. Jer didn't really follow him into that one. Later in life, you get a chance, Alan, you get a chance. Later in life, they ended up sharing all the same friends, and they're still hard to separate. Every year, their birthday is a joint birthday party. Two of the best ones were celebrated in Thailand. Recently, Alan, as best man, had the unfortunate task of planning an epic bachelor party for 21 guys in Portland. He did an awesome job. Everyone had a really good time, and Jer will never forget that for the rest of his life. With some of the outfits Jer was wearing, the other guys will probably never forget it either. They've been through everything together, and Jared looks at Alan not just as a cousin or a friend, but really like a brother. Now we have the honor to be treated by something very special. Since many of you here may not know the love story that is Jer and Aska, we have the ever popular stylings of Dick Van Dop to come up here and give you that story in only the way that he could give that story.
Plug your ears. All right. Can everyone hear me? Gotcha. Good. My name is Dick Van Dop, Dickie Van Dop, little Dickie. It's true, I was asked to share with you guys the story of Aska and Jer. What I wasn't asked to do was create a really corny poem. So that's what I did. Because I'll take anything that's kind of manly and turn it very girly. That's what I do. Oh, my dear friends, what an honor it is for me to tell you about the great love story. At the beginning, we start with a boy named Jer. He was not alone. Eric, Harp, and Hussein were there. The handsome Brazilian spoke up loud and clear. Perhaps we shall head out and partake in a beer. Off the boys went to Malone's on a Thursday night, and when they walked in, Jer saw a beautiful sight. His knees grew weak, so much more he could barely stand, for his eyes were fixated on a beautiful girl from Japan. He blurted, "Eric, get over here now! I have to talk to this girl somehow." "Don't worry, Jeremy. I'm not only able, but willing. It seems that his friends she is with are extremely Brazilian." Mingling began, and after a minute or two, Aska thought that Jeremy was friends with her friends too. So she walked over, super sweet and Asian, and these two future lovebirds began their first conversation. It wasn't too long before Aska said, "Oh snap! I think these Brazilians have sprung a dangerous trap." What a scary situation her friends put her in. This petite beauty is now taking to a huge Canadian/German. But little did she know, Jeremy was incapable of harm. He's in fact a shy, timid softie, incapable of charm. They spoke through the night without hindrance or blunder, and by the end of the night they exchanged numbers. And just in the nick of time, for as you see, Aska disappeared because of karaoke. After a few days, Jeremy knew what was next. "It's the 21st century," he said. "I shall send her a text." But let us remember, English is Aska's second language, so the barrier provided caused each of them anguish. But as we all know, the greatest victories won are those where we are forced to overcome. So after a while, they accepted their fate and decided that they should go on their first date. Dinner was ordered, and as they prepared to dine, Aska thought, "I shall order myself a tall glass of wine."
Oh no.
But our poor dear Aska knew this was risky, because just one glass of wine made her quite tipsy. Now, some of you might say, that's not something that I would do, but if I was dating Jer, I'd get drunk too. Aska's stomach was unsettled, and she was feeling a little sick, but instead of calling it a night, they decided to catch a flick. They paid their bills and headed to the show. Great, a 3D action movie viewed from the third row. Maybe it was the wine, or that the movie was boring, but not too long in, Jeremy found his sweet little date snoring. Oh no, Jeremy thought, that's not a good sign. Little did he know it was only the wine. And Aska woke embarrassed and irate. "I can't believe I fell asleep. Now I'll never get that second date." Jeremy was down and unsure of what to do next. Then Eric spoke up. "Just send her a text. I will beat you up if you dare refuse. So pick up that phone, you have nothing to lose." And Jeremy did just that, as Eric had beckoned, and for that first date had turned into a second. Weeks passed by and the roots began to grow, not with reckless abandon, but cautious and slow. But then came to Aska a painful day. She received word that her grandfather passed away. And as we all are when we receive news that is bad, Aska felt pain in her heart and became quite sad. She said to herself, "I need someone to listen, comfort, and care for me." And the person that came to mind was none other than Jeremy. And that's what Jeremy did, because he is someone you can rely on, when you need an ear to listen to and a broad shoulder to cry on. And from that day, they were dating no longer, because their relationship became so much stronger. But soon Aska's visa expired, and she could no longer stay. So at the airport, Jared decided he had something to say. "I love you," he spoke, "with all my heart I do." And Aska responded, "Jeremy Neufeld, I love you too." So much so, let's not let this relationship end, because I promise you this, I will come back again. But Jeremy was impatient and feeling quite alone, so he planned to go visit a place that Aska called home. She showed him the country and all the sights to see, and even took him down to meet her family. Aska was so proud to show off her man, and her family, it too fell in love with this lumbering Canadian/German. And now Aska's back back for good to start a new life with Jeremy as her husband and her as his wife. And it all started so simple, with a simple boyish plan that led to my good friend Jer meeting this beautiful girl from Japan.
Now, we shouldn't be that surprised.
Until he's satisfied that you are, in fact, enjoying it along with him. If you've ever been talking with Jer when a particularly good song came on, you've seen that look he gets in his eyes when he's trying to respect you by letting you finish what you're saying. But he's not really listening to you anymore. Really, he's just dying to shush you and tell you to just listen to the song. He rarely makes it more than a few seconds before he gives in. But overall, I understand his passion for music, and it's something we've connected a lot through over the years. He has introduced countless artists and genres and songs to me, and numerous times expanded my appreciation for music as a whole. He's still one of my biggest sources of new music to this day. He also introduced me to Richard, who is another hugely passionate fan of music, although after last night, I'm questioning your taste in music, Richard.
What?
But it was Jer that introduced us and told us we should jam together. We ended up forming a band and making and playing a lot of music together over the years, and Jer was always our biggest fan. And it's likely that none of that would have ever happened if not for Jer. And still, time moved on, and we continued to grow together on through the teen years. We had a ton of fun and got into some shenanigans along the way. We began forming friendships with people that would turn into lifelong bonds, and I can honestly tell you that we are truly blessed to have an extremely special, unique group of tight-knit friends that in my heart I know are more than just friends. We're family. And when I look at this family we've built together over the years, he'll deny this, but I see him as the leader, the heart and soul of the group. He's the one always pulling the group together. When we're all hanging out, he's always the one making sure everyone is having a good time. He pays attention to the individuals, and he goes out of his way to make sure each and every person feels welcome, comfortable, and happy. He truly cares deeply about the people around him. And it's easy to tell how much the people around him appreciate him for it. For his stag party, we went to Portland and we had a group of 21 guys. And in all honesty, that might be half of what it could have been. And everywhere we went in Portland, people would ask us, "You're all here for one guy?" Yup, because it's not just any guy. It's a truly unique, special guy who would do anything for his friends and proves it on a regular basis. There's a saying that goes something like, if you want great friends, you have to be a great friend. Right. If you want proof of the truth of this saying, look no further than Jer. I don't know anyone more popular, more well-liked and respected, more loved by more people than Jer. And we know it's not for his looks. Hang on.
You're doing so good.
It's obviously not for his intelligence. By the way, Jer, don't worry. Nobody will ever touch your crown as king of the stupid couch.
Inside, but it's true.
No, it's because of his heart. And now we'll keep growing older together. And today in this milestone, we welcome Aska to our family. And what an awesome addition she is. Jer is a lucky man because he'll get to enjoy that beautiful, contagious smile for the rest of his life. I can honestly say I've never heard Jer talk about anyone the way he talks about her. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at her. And Aska is perfect for Jer. She is tons of fun. And again, if you know Jer, fun is high on his priority list. But most importantly, she is incredibly patient, easygoing, and forgiving, which are crucial in order for someone to be with Jer. But it's okay, because she gets to claim the biggest part of that huge heart of his now. A few months ago, I was incredibly touched when Aska told me she thought of me like a brother. Aska, today officially makes you my cousin, but you were already my sister. And Jer, you may be technically my cousin, but more importantly, in truth, you are my best friend and my brother. Because cousin, we're blood. I'd die for you. I love you both, and I wish you a lifetime of overwhelming happiness. Cheers to the couple, everyone.
It's going to be a long speech. It's going to be very quick. I just want to thank everybody for coming, especially the people that came from far away. There's many of you that traveled quite far to come here. Thank you so much. And we just want to thank everyone that helped make this happen. We want to thank our wedding party. We want to thank parents, Aunt Edith for the flowers, Uncle Corky for doing the officiating, and Ken for being MC. And I'm probably going to forget a million people we should thank, but just we couldn't have done this by ourselves. Last night the wedding party and us were here, and the wedding party had this place decorated and centerpieces done like so fast. We were so impressed. So thank you so much, everybody, and now let's party.